Alright everybody, so we're going to be talking about some Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay stuff today. First up, hit that bell for notifications, like and subscribe. So, part of the new game, Mass Effect Andromeda will have cities and more open options for side quests than any other previous game. So by that I believe that there's going to be more hubs, because Mass Effect 3 really only had, if you really think about it, one hub. You know, Mass Effect 2 had about 3 hubs, Mass Effect 1 had about 4. Now, apparently this game will have less linear planets. Now that's going to be an obvious thing, because it's going back to the first Mass Effect game when it comes to, like, you know, open gameplay. You know, hopefully they'll do like a nice blend of the two, because, you know, the linear design of Mass Effect 2 worked really well. However, the more open design of the first Mass Effect game, you know, that was true exploration. So you're going to be in a new galaxy where you literally know nothing, and I think that could work really well if there is, you know, linear elements to the open world. Loyalty missions are back. Now, loyalty missions in Mass Effect, more specifically Mass Effect 2, were fantastic, because you basically delved deep into the characters, and that's how you really got to learn about their past. You know, you learned about Morden, Garrus, you know, Miranda. Like, Mass Effect 2's game design when it came to the loyalty missions in general was superb. I mean, you got, like, let's take a character like Grunt. You'd think he wouldn't be interesting, but he was really interesting. And the fact that these are coming back, basically, that's a good sign. Now, apparently, none of your allies will die or impact the ending of the game. Now, at first I was a bit disappointed, but then again, I never lost a single crew member, so it doesn't really bother me. Now, apparently, you don't have to do these to progress and get a certain ending. That's good, because look at the amount of different endings there was to them games. You know, it can be a bit of a mess for the developers, and to be honest, for an RPG, you do not need, like, lots of different multiple endings. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, look at the first Mass Effect game. Biohazard obstacles are back, thank God. So in Mass Effect 2, there were areas in the game where you couldn't step into sunlight because your health and shield would, like, instantly drain. And if there's full open world planets, I'm not saying there's going to be full open planets, but you know what I mean, where you literally have to, like, plan ahead of how you're going to attack a certain situation without getting into, like, you know, the sunlight or whatnot, or there may be, like, radiation areas. That'd be pretty cool. Now, uncovering drop zones for forward stations is going to be a big thing. So one of the big things you're going to be doing in Mass Effect Andromeda is basically, you know, finding places to colonize. And when you hit a new galaxy, you're basically going to want to set up outposts. Now, in the new game, side questing will be different. So in previous Mass Effect games, you basically had the hubs connected to other areas where side quests would take place. In this game, it's going to be different, and I like the direction it's going to be going. So this is how it's going to work, basically. So you're going to have, basically, you know, the open segment of a map, and you'll have points of interest. Now, these points of interest will be things like, you know, items, collectibles, you know, resources, and side missions and main quests, all taking place within these open segments.
This way.
And this is level design which will suit Mass Effect completely. And to be honest, I think a lot of fans are really going to enjoy this. Now, in these open areas, you're obviously going to have areas which are designated for different levels of play. And if you're early in game, you might not be strong enough or have the right, you know, upgrades to actually tackle a certain area. So you're going to have to realise you're going to have to come back later on. And I like that, you know. The thing about the previous Mass Effect games were there weren't really any reasons to come back to a certain area. And I love the fact that this is going to be a thing. Now, in these open areas, there's going to be legendary bosses or super bosses. And if you remember in the N7 Day trailer, there was actually this big robotic snake looking thing. And
yes, sir.
This is something that I've wanted in Mass Effect since the first game. So I love the fact that this is actually going to be a thing. Now, scanning is important in Mass Effect Andromeda. It's going to be basically how you find clues to solve side quests, main quests. It's basically going to act like a tricorder. And I did a wish list for Mass Effect Andromeda, and one of the top things was the tricorder. That Omni tool is basically a tricorder, so let us use it as such. That's pretty much it for today. Until next time, again, like and subscribe. I'm out. Have a good weekend.